All right, I believe we have Susan Elliott here now. Is that correct?
Yes, she's here, Judge. It's going to be complete.
All right, bring her around. Shannon Elliott.
Judge, I've got Shannon Elliott here. She's going to be entering a no contest plea today to count 1, felony murder, aggravated child abuse, a class X felony. For that, she'll receive imprisonment for life with the possibility of parole. Count 2, aggravated child abuse, an A felony, and count 5, which is the same. Both will carry 20 years running concurrent to one another. She'll have jail credit from March 4th to today's date.
All right. Ms. Elliott, if you'll raise your right hand, let's place you under oath. State your full name for the record.
Shannon Lee Elliott.
You can put your hand down now. Ms. Elliott, you're here today charged with a number of very serious crimes, including felony murder, aggravated child abuse, and aggravated child abuse for involving torture. It has been indicated that you have agreed to enter a plea of no contest, but have you seen or been shown a copy of the charges against you and talked it over with your lawyer, and you and Mr. Vaughn discussed the range of punishment you're facing as well as any possible defenses you might have?
Yes, sir.
Well, it's indicated that you want to enter this plea of no contest or nolo contendere. That simply means you understand what the state's evidence is going to be. You're not going to admit you did anything wrong, but you're not going to deny it or contest it. And the state will then tell me what their evidence would be if this case went to trial, and I'll use that factual basis to find you guilty of these charges according to this agreement. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand, however, that you have a right to plead not guilty to all charges and to have a speedy and public trial by jury?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand that if you went to trial, you would have the right to have a lawyer and to have one appointed, as I've done with the public defender?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand that if you went to trial, you and your lawyer could confront that you would be presumed to be innocent until such time, if ever, the state proves your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt to the satisfaction of all 12 jurors, and their verdict will have to be unanimous before you could be convicted of anything? Do you understand that if you went to trial, you and your lawyer could confront and cross-examine every witness the state called to testify against you, and you could bring in your own witnesses by the use of a subpoena?
Yes, sir.
You understand that you would be presumed to be innocent. At trial, you would not have to testify or prove anything, and no inference of guilt would arise because you did not testify at your own trial.
Yes, sir.
Do you understand that if you went to trial and you were found guilty of a crime, you could appeal the conviction and the sentence imposed to the Court of Criminal Appeals and have a lawyer appointed to help you with that appeal?
Yes, sir.
Do you understand that by entering this plea of no contest, you're waiving your right to a trial and to an appeal? And all I'm going to do is approve what your lawyer has worked out, which, as was pointed out, means that you will be sentenced on first-degree murder to life in prison with the possibility of parole. And then you will also have 20-year sentences on these other 2 cases as well. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
You understand everything I've explained to you?
Yes, sir.
Do you want to plead no contest according to this agreement and give up your right to a trial and to an appeal?
Yes, sir.
Is your decision to plead no contest today voluntary?
Yes.
Anybody forcing you to do this against your will? You understand that I have to have facts presented to me to be able to enter this plea and find you guilty of these charges.
Yes.
And I want you to have a seat at the table and listen as the state tells me what their evidence would be if this case went to trial. General Willoughby?
Yes, Your Honor, it'll be both myself and General Seju. If case number 19559 were to proceed to trial, the state would expect to prove the following facts. Around 4:30 on Sunday, July 23rd, law enforcement and medical personnel were dispatched to 1065 Poplar Ridge Road, Chapmansboro, Tennessee, for a non-responsive 5-year-old child. When Cheatham County Sheriff's deputies arrived, they found Turner Simpkins laying on his back outside of the residence on a side deck. Also present were Austin Simpkins, Turner's biological father and legal custodian, and Miss Shannon Elliott, his live-in girlfriend, who was also pregnant with his child. Turner's stomach was distended and dark purple. His face was covered in bruises, scabs. His hands, legs, and arms were also covered with lacerations and extensive bruising. There were bite marks on his hand. Turner Simpkins was not breathing, and his body was limp and lifeless. EMS personnel removed Turner from the deck to the back of an ambulance and removed his clothes. EMS personnel made observations that Turner was cold to the touch and measured 86 degrees body temperature. They observed Turner had bled out internally with large quantities of blood pooling in his testicles. EMS personnel were not able to revive Turner, and no pulse could be established. Turner Simpkins was declared dead at 4:42 p.m. His body was transferred to the medical examiner's office for an autopsy. The TBI conducted and assumed the investigation under Special Agent Kendall Henderson. Shannon Elliott was later interviewed by law enforcement. She told investigators Austin had been out of town all weekend. Shannon Elliott informed law enforcement that she picked up Turner on Saturday, July 22nd, from her mother's house in Springfield, Tennessee. On the way home, they stopped at Sonic to get drinks and closer to home. Turner opened the back door of a Chevy Tahoe driven by Shannon, and he fell out of the car. She explained that Turner unbuckled the car seat, opened the vehicle's back door, and Turner exited the vehicle while it was traveling 25 miles an hour with his car seat. She stated that Turner was not hurt during the event and verbally told her he was okay. The only injuries she noted were 2 scratches on his back and a bruise on his forehead. The defendant did not seek any medical attention for the child and only provided him with Tylenol. It is noted that when law enforcement took the Tahoe as evidence, the child lock on the rear driver's side was on. The car seat was in the vehicle, not scratched or damaged in any way. And there was a Sonic cup in the car seat with liquid still remaining. She further stated Austin Simpkins arrived home later that evening and went to bed. He left the residence in the morning of Sunday, July 23rd, 2023, giving Turner a fist bump before leaving for the day. Ms. Elliott told investigators that Turner got up at 10 o'clock, his normal time, and ate. She said they both had a stomach bug and were throwing up. The defendant told law enforcement Turner was alive and well at 3:45 to 3:50 in the afternoon. This would have been less than an hour before EMS and law enforcement arrived. When asked about his injuries to Turner, she said the following: he got a black eye from falling at her work. The leg scratches were from him riding his bicycle. The hand scratches are from him picking at himself. And she said the bruises on his abdomen were not present Friday or Saturday. Ms. Elliott told investigators that she mainly took care of Turner and that Austin wasn't really around. She describes Turner as the sweetest little boy. When asked how she would punish Turner, the defendant said Turner doesn't get in trouble that often, and his punishment is generally standing in a corner. As the investigation progressed, the Tennessee Highway Patrol CERT team, as well as members of the Cheatham County Sheriff's Office, as well as the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, attempted to do a reenactment of the set of events that Miss Elliott claimed caused his death. They got a body dummy similar in size to him. The company that manufactured the car seat was gracious enough to give, I believe, 2 brand new car seats for this test. And after that test was concluded, it was determined that Miss Elliott's version of events could not be true. Also, during the course of the investigation, law enforcement learned that the defendant was employed at an automotive repair shop and that she often took her own 5-year-old son and the victim, Turner Simpkins, to work with her. The TBI was able to retrieve surveillance video from outside of the employment May 2nd, 2023 through July 19th, 2023. That's a 79-day time period. Multiple special agents and the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation watched every moment of the videos retrieved. The videos revealed that over the course of those dates, when Shannon Elliott was at work with Turner Simpkins, she repeatedly physically abused Turner Simpkins. She did this often with her own child nearby. There's no documented evidence of violence toward her own child. All of the systematic physical abuse on video is directed only at Turner Simpkins. The TBI agents documented every time the defendant struck, hit, punched, slapped, kicked, bit, strangled, or threw Turner Simpkins on video. They also documented the time Turner Simpkins spent in a very small bathroom attached to the office without the lights on, sometimes for hours at a time. General Sagi will now take the rest of the facts. She will start with a very small sample of what these videos show, but it's important to note this is only a couple of days and a couple moments. It's nowhere near the entire 79-day time frame.
Your Honor, of the 79-day time period that the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation watched these videos, they spent 1,896 hours going through those videos. 43 days on the videos show Shannon and Turner. I'm going to read 3 different days of the documented abuse as cataloged by the TBI from watching the actual surveillance videos. On May the 3rd at 1 o'clock, Shannon and Turner remain on the couch. At 1:07:31, Shannon can be seen talking to Turner, and then she throws her phone at him. She drapes his blanket over him. She gets up to work and returns to the couch at 1:14:40. Shannon goes to the restroom, and then Turner uses it just after her. Turner exits the bathroom, and Shannon assists in pulling his pants all the way up. At 1:28:13, Shannon can be seen directing Turner to watch the TV. She hits his knee with her phone and confiscates his books before draping his blanket over him again. She again begins directing him to watch TV at 1:31:33. She positions him on the couch, lifting him up by his upper arms. At 1:32:13, Shannon gets off the couch and hits Turner with the side of her fist in the head on the way back to her desk to answer the phone. She returns to the couch and continues to direct him to watch TV. At 1:32:58, she punches him in the abdomen area. She punches him again in the abdomen area. She punches him in the abdomen once more. Then approximately 5 more times before getting up to answer the phone at 1:33:36. She concludes her phone call and walks back to the couch, aggressively adjusting Turner on the couch before punching him twice in the abdomen with her left hand, and then again with her right hand. She punches him 4 more times with her right hand and then hits him with her left hand. At 1:35:43, Shannon lays back on the couch, lifts her leg into the air, and kicks down on Turner, causing him to bounce upward from the couch. Turner is visibly crying and directed to the corner. Turner is holding his abdomen, and Shannon summons him to her. She speaks to him for a few seconds and directs him back to the corner at 1:36:22. While Turner is in the corner at 1:38:34, she flicks him in the eye. She grabs him by the jaw and brings her face close to his and stays in this position for several seconds before kneeing him in the abdomen, lifting him off the ground by his right arm and putting him on the couch. Turner is crying and writhing in pain. He sits up on the couch at 1:39:36. She begins directing him to watch TV before punching him in the abdomen. She smacks him and begins strangling him. She strangles him for 30 seconds, his face visibly turning red. Once she releases him, she kicks him in the face twice. Turner is now on the opposite end of the couch, and Shannon is in the middle of the couch. She drags him by his legs towards her, blocking him from being seen by the camera. She appears to squeeze his throat with her left hand for several seconds before releasing. Turner is directed to go to the corner again, and as he is getting off the couch, she kicks him in the abdomen with her right leg. Turner is visibly crying very hard and clutching his chest and abdomen. Turner goes into the corner at 1:41:39. At 1:42:50, Shannon grabs Turner by the throat and lifts him off the ground, carrying him into the bathroom in the air. They remain out of sight until Shannon exits the bathroom at 1:49:17. Turner exits the bathroom shortly after pulling his pants up. Shannon positions Turner on the couch. She checks him over, appearing to look for injuries, and goes back into the bathroom. She mops the floor of the bathroom and sits back on the couch at 1:51:15. She talks to Turner briefly before tossing his water bottle at him. At 1:53:35, Shannon directs Turner to watch TV before kicking him in the face. She kicks him in the face again before directing him to get to the corner, kicking him once more on his way off the couch. Shannon gets off the couch at 1:54. She hits Turner in the back of the head with her hand. Shannon changes the TV channel and walks towards her desk, hitting Turner again in the back of his head while his face is in the corner. She turns around and walks back towards him, kneeing while he is still standing in the corner. She knees him again in the abdomen causing him to fall to the ground on his knees. She knees him again, this time holding him up by his arms. At 1:55:49, Shannon lifts Turner's hoodie to look at his stomach. She directs him back to the couch at 1:56:15. She leans over from the opposite side of the couch and bites his hand. She aggressively turns him inward towards the back of the couch. At 1:57:55, Shannon gets off the couch and readjusts Turner before smacking him. She sits back on the couch and lifts her leg up before kicking him again at 1:59:06. Shannon plays on her phone on the side of the couch while Turner stays in the corner for the remainder of this 1 hour. That is 1 hour on May the 3rd of his life. On May 19th, from 11:18 a.m. to 11:24 a.m., again, the defendant is with the victim at her place of work, 11:18 a.m. Shannon is motioning for Turner to watch the TV. She then reaches over and pinches his cheeks and shakes his head. She then grabs him around the neck with both hands and jostles his head and neck and is clearly holding tightly. She then balls up her hand and acts as if she's going to hit him. Shannon then grabs Turner by the ears and shakes his head. She then grabs him by the hair and then the neck again. Shannon grabs Turner by the neck with both hands, where her thumbs are on his throat and hands are wrapped around the back. She leans forwards towards him and is clearly squeezing his neck with force. She is even visibly straining as she does this. Shannon grabs Turner by the throat with her right hand and pushes him back against the side cushion, pinning him there. She holds him there for approximately 10 seconds until Turner is able to twist his body out of her hold. At this point, you can clearly see Shannon has Turner by the neck and is squeezing it severely. Immediately after she lets him go, she looks at him as if inspecting his neck. She is touching it gently and motions for Turner to lift his head so she can see his neck better. As soon as Turner exposes his neck, Shannon grabs him again by the neck with her right hand and pushes him against the couch by his neck. She repositions her body so she can get more leverage to push against Turner. Turner is swinging his arms and legs wildly in an attempt to get free, but Shannon is able to maintain her hold on his neck. She holds Turner by the neck for approximately 30 seconds. Her own son is sitting behind Shannon and appears to say something, which prompts Shannon to let go. At 11:20 a.m., Shannon again sits Turner up and motions him to raise his neck as if she is going to look at it. Turner complies and raises his neck. Once she does this, she again immediately violently grabs him by the neck with her right hand. She holds him by the neck very clearly, squeezing and forcing him off of the couch. He's about to fall off the couch, and Shannon lifts him up by the throat and brings him back to her lap. Turner is very clearly struggling and has both hands on Shannon's hands trying to pry it off. She holds him by the neck for approximately 60 seconds until finally releasing. 11:21 a.m. Shannon is continuously motioning for Turner to look at the TV and slaps him on the face with her hand. She then grabs his right hand and appears to bite it. At 11:22, Shannon grabs Turner by the head with both hands and appears to be sticking her thumbs in his ears on both sides and squeezing. She again motions for him to look at the TV and grabs him by the neck with her right hand on the back and her left hand on the front. She holds him there for approximately 15 seconds. 11:23 a.m. Shannon grabs Turner by the head and hair and forces his head up, holding it there for several seconds. She punches Turner in the abdomen 3 times and takes her right elbow and shoves it into his midsection and gets on top of him, pressing all of her body weight down on her elbow and Turner. She then holds Turner by the neck and throat area with her left hand for several seconds and then punches him in the chest area twice and once in the face. 11:23 a.m. Shannon is pointing towards the TV and then hits Turner in the face with her right hand. She then grabs his hand violently by the top of his hair and forces his head back while pointing at the TV. 11:24. While still holding Turner by the hair on the top of his head, Shannon begins to shake Turner's head violently. She releases and then grabs it again, shaking violently. She does this 2 more times. Shannon motions for Turner to get up and to go to the bathroom, which he does with the light off. And Judge, on July the 12th, 2023, just a few days before Turner's death, at about 5 p.m., Shannon is again in her place of business with Turner. Shannon exits the bathroom at 5:02, and her face appears red. She opens the bathroom door again, but it appears that Turner is also opening the door from the inside. Shannon speaks to Turner for a second and appears to be looking for something before she takes a seat on the couch. Turner exits the bathroom at 5:12, and Shannon reaches for his face, grabbing his jaw and neck and looking over him, appearing to check for injuries. She takes his mask off and looks at his hair. At this point, Turner Simpkins is now going to Shannon Elliott's work with her while wearing a mask of a comic book character that covers his face and all of his bruises and injuries. She takes his mask off and looks in his hair, brushing his hair with her fingers. She places his mask over his face and shoves him out of the bathroom doorway. Turner puts his shoes on and stands and waits, adjusting his mask. He goes back into the bathroom where Shannon is at 5:14, and she exits soon after. He exits the bathroom, and his entire face is bruised. She directs him to move his face around, checking again for injuries. He goes back into the bathroom. She walks into the front office, closing things down. Turner exits the bathroom. He grabs his backpack, and Shannon uses a flashlight on her phone to look at his face just before she hits him in the face again with an open hand, knocking off his mask. Turner puts the mask on awkwardly over his face, grabs the blanket he vomited on earlier, and they exit the building on the interior camera. On the exterior camera at that time, Shannon opens the door for Turner and he gets into the car. Shannon has gotten to the driver's seat, but it gets out and opens Turner's door again. While the view is mostly obstructed, it appears that she is hitting him again while he is in the back seat of the car. She gets into the driver's seat and the vehicle exits the parking lot. Your Honor, this is a snapshot of just 2 hours and 6 minutes of Turner Simpkins' life. There are massive amounts of videos where she does this. Based on the video documentation the District Attorney's Office and the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation have looked at, the defendant strangled Turner Simpkins at least 74 times, some of these ending with what appears to be loss of consciousness. Turner is seen on several of the occasions trying to peel the defendant's hands from around his neck while he writhes in pain, fighting to breathe. The defendant physically struck Turner, documented over 1,073 times. An autopsy of Turner Simpkins was performed on July 24th, 2023, lasting 2 days and producing over 800 images of the injuries. Turner Simpkins was born on June the 18th, 2018, and had turned 5 years of age the month before his death. At the time of autopsy, Turner Simpkins weighed 34.5 pounds, and according to the autopsy, quote, appeared younger than the listed age of 5. The medical examiner determined the cause of death to be multiple acute and chronic blunt force injuries and malnutrition. The manner of death was homicide. The circumstances of his death were that he was assaulted by others and neglected care. Specifically, the pathological findings, the injuries to the child, are deep frontal, parietal, and occipital scalp hemorrhage, subdural hemorrhage, subarachnoid hemorrhage, cortical brain contusion, left optic nerve sheath hemorrhage, and left retinal hemorrhage. Hemorrhage and fibrosis involving anterior neck muscles. Hemorrhage and fibrosis of the soft tissue anterior to the cervical vertebrae. Hemorrhage of the posterior neck musculature. Rib fractures and abscesses and formation of the right 9th, 10th, 11th, and 11th and 12th ribs. Fibrous tissue surrounding the liver, kidney, spleen, pancreas, and intestines. Liver hemorrhage, mesenteric contusions and lacerations, peritonitis, diffuse hemorrhage of the back muscles with intervening fibrous tissue, numerous contusions, abrasions, and scars of the head, neck, chest, abdomen, pelvis, genitalia, upper and lower back extremities. He was underweight and had elevated vitreous urea nitrogen. The medical examiner concluded autopsy findings are significant for blunt force injuries of various stages of healing of the neck, chest, abdomen, pelvis, genitalia, extremities, and back. Body mass index is significant for an underweight male child, 14.8 kilograms. After review of available investigative information, autopsy examination, microscopic analysis, video surveillance review, medical record review, and toxicologic analysis, it is my opinion that Turner Simpkins, a 5-year-old male, died as a result of multiple acute and chronic blunt force injuries and malnutrition. A component of asphyxia, such as manual strangulation and/or suffocation, cannot be ruled out. TBI Special Agent Kendall Henderson met with experts in pediatrics and child abuse who confirmed that the injuries presenting on Turner and his cause of death are consistent with the actions captured on video committed by the defendant, Shannon Elliott. The experts discredited the story by the defendant telling law enforcement how Turner Simpkins received his injuries by falling out of a vehicle. They determined the injuries were consistent with child abuse and torture. Therefore, the documented actions of the defendant, Shannon Elliott, rose to the level of aggravated child abuse of a child under age 8 by physical injury and torture, and the first-degree murder of Turner Simpkins, wherein her abuse and torture caused that death. Your Honor, this did happen in Cheatham County against the peace and dignity of Turner Simpkins in the state of Tennessee.
Ms. Elliott, you've now heard the state's version of the events in this case, and you've heard the recitation of those facts. I'm not asking that you agree with those facts, but do you understand that's what the state's evidence would be if this case went to trial? You still wish to plead no contest? Are you satisfied with your attorney's services? You feel like Mr. Vaughn has done a good job of representing you competently? Mr. Vaughn, do you know of any reasons you should not enter this plea?
No.
Anything further from the state?
Yes, Your Honor, the state would like to thank the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, the Tennessee Highway Patrol, and the Cheatham County Sheriff's Office and EMS, and all of the individuals who assisted on this case.
All right, so noted. Then, based upon the plea of no contest, Ms. Elliott, I find you guilty of count 1, felony murder, sentence you to life in prison. Count 2 of aggravated child abuse of a child under 8 years of age, I sentence you to 20 years in Tennessee Department of Corrections as a range 1 offender. That's a 100% service before you can be eligible for parole. Count 5, you're found guilty, sentenced to 20 years as a range 1 offender. That will be served as well as 100% release eligibility. These counts are all concurrent with each other. And we know for a fact that you're going to serve 20 years without being able to be released or even consider it normally a life sentence that's even eligible for parole. You have to serve at least 51 years. Based on what I've heard today, it's unlikely, in my opinion, that you're ever going to see the outside. Based upon what happened to this child. It's one of the most, I've sentenced people to life in prison and other more serious situations in the form of a death penalty case that I've had, and I've never heard more horrific statement of facts in my entire life. Nor have I heard anything that I can imagine what this child went through. So I'm sentencing you to life in prison, and it's my hope that you will serve that for the rest of your life. That is a judgment.